Hello, Clement229 here. Here's another topic of the week video. Now, this one I knew was going to be interesting for the mere fact of which characters it's about. If you looked at the thumbnail, you probably know what character from Star Wars this is about. I was sent an anon submission that asked, what do you think of Jar Jar Binks? Now I know this one's going to be controversial, just for the fact that Jar Jar Binks is a controversial character for some reason. I kind of laugh though at the fact that some people legitimately despise Jar Jar and think that Jar Jar is the reason Star Wars has been ruined, which is hyperbole. But what do I think of Jar Jar? I don't mind Jar Jar. I really don't. I don't mind Jar Jar at all. It's funny because, I watched episode 1 a long time ago when I was a kid, and I watched it a few times, but then I watched it fairly recently with Angel Run 89, and I was just sitting there thinking, this movie is a lot better than I remember. I mean, you hear everyone screaming, episode 1 is the worst, it's the worst episode ever. I'm like, it's the most Star Wars-y movie from the prequels, to be honest. And then when I saw Jar Jar, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm expecting myself to be like, oh, here's Jar Jar. Misa's so stupid. And I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't mind Jar Jar. In fact, I like Jar Jar. I mean, I don't even need the scenes from the Clone Wars cartoon where Jar Jar actually did stuff. And I like Jar Jar. I mean, I don't love Jar Jar. Jar Jar is far from being one of my favorite characters. I mean, not just in Star Wars, just in the prequels. I mean, there are plenty of other characters I like more, especially in the prequels and the Clone Wars cartoon. But there's no real major problem with Jar Jar. Yes, Jar Jar was created to appeal to kids. Kind of like C-3PO. And the Ewoks. Does no one remember the Ewoks? Really? I mean, I remember people always complained about the Ewoks before, but the second episode 1 came out, all of a sudden it was like, Jar Jar is literally the worst thing. And it's like, he's really not. He really isn't. I mean, it's obvious that George Lucas saw, or that George Lucas and the crew saw how much Jar Jar was hated, and they cut down his role in the later movies. In fact, he doesn't have any lines in Revenge of the Sith. He only has lines in Attack of the Clones, which is only a handful at best. He's barely around. And I mean, this is probably going to be one of the shorter ones, just because I don't really have a whole lot to say. Jar Jar's not that bad. Jar Jar is a character to appeal to kids. The Star Wars movies, except for Revenge of the Sith, have all been rated PG. Which means they're not meant to be... What's the word? They're not meant to be sort of exclusionary to younger viewers. I mean, Revenge of the Sith is the only movie because that one is dark. It's dark as hell. It's Darth Vader's fall, or it's Anakin's fall into Darth Vader, which honestly could have been handled a lot better. But that's not the topic of this video. I mean, I don't want people to hear this and think that I'm saying, the prequels are so much better. Or, I mean, I like the prequels. I do like the prequels. I just think that they could have been better written. Some of the parts could have been handled better pacing. But again, it's not the topic of this. The topic is Jar Jar. And Jar Jar to me is a non-issue. I don't see why people get so up in arms about Jar Jar, to the point where, like I said, people claim that Jar Jar ruined Star Wars. I can understand not liking Jar Jar. I don't care if people don't like Jar Jar. I completely understand that. It's just these people who are rabid fanboys. And it's like, they just scream and holler, and it's like, there are plenty of issues to find with the prequels. Jar Jar is not one of them. Seriously. wow, on my other videos went 15 to 20 minutes, but this one's going to be really short. I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot to say. I mean, I would know, it's a fairly general topic of saying, what do you think of Jar Jar? Jar Jar is fine. Jar Jar has some funny lines. Jar Jar is there to move the plot along in episode 1. Jar Jar never got on my nerves upon rewatching it fairly recently and after doing a marathon of all the movies. And it's like, that's really all I have to say. I'll definitely try to pick a topic next week that's more expansive. But yeah, I think honestly, I think that's about it. That's really all I have to say in the topic. Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm trying to think of more to say, but Jar Jar honestly is such a small part of the whole prequel trilogy that there's really not a whole lot to say. I honestly think the main point about Jar Jar is Jar Jar doesn't really deserve the hate he gets. And I know there's some people, and honestly, I've never seen someone who actually straight up goes, Jar Jar's the greatest. So I think a lot of it comes down to people looking at things that don't match up with what they want and to say, I hate it. Because please, I mean, I'm angry. I have big issues with several parts of the prequels, and Jar Jar isn't one of them. So, yeah. So I'm just gonna end the video right here. If you have any more topics, just send them to me on an ask on Tumblr or just post them in comments below on YouTube. And I'll try to pick a better topic. I'll try to pick a more expansive topic next week. Thank you.